For a lot of Bears, there has been no off-season, with players and coaches representing Norths across the WNBL and NBL. The club has been very active ahead of the 2026 NBL1 East season, securing the return of a lot of their professional level talent. For the women, an emerging young squad has added an elite veteran, while for the men, another Norths junior returns from college to join an already stacked lineup. Across the rug, there is plenty on offer at the Teddy Bears 2026 picnic. Let's take a deeper look at how the Bears are shaping up for the NBL1 East season. Welcome to Waratah on VCR. There's been some huge additions, but arguably it's been the talent retention that has been the most impressive from the Bears. Let's get started with the women, who the headline signings, I gotta say, have been the retention of WNBL talents Issy Morgan and Caitlyn Martin, as well as welcoming back, it was never in doubt, but Renee Garlepp will be back for another year as the North Bears head coach. And a huge congratulations to Renee, who finally got a call up to a WNBL head coaching gig. Now, it's a very competitive industry, you must say, but Renee Garlepp has been deserving of this for years and years now, and it's great to see her finally getting an opportunity with the Flames. And I must say, it looks like there's been a bit of a renaissance, pun intended, going on at the Sydney Flames under Renee. Taking over mid-season couldn't have been easy, but she's managed to get the most out of that roster, and with a roster there full of NBL1 East talent, I think Renee might be the perfect fit going forward for the Sydney Flames in the WNBL. But this is an NBL1 East show, but just wanted to take that time to congratulate Renee on the opportunity. Unfortunately for the Bears, though, they will be going into next season without Carla Pitman, moving to NBL1 South with Mount Gambier, which I gotta say is actually quite sad. Carla's been a big part of North for the past 4 seasons. From the sidelines, we saw her grow as a promising young talent into a certified superstar. She won the Youth League title with North and also won that 2023 NBL1 East Championship. I think Carla was maybe an underrated part of that championship team that had so many stars in it. Carla's going to be a huge loss for not just the Bears, but for NBL1 East. Nonetheless, you got to be happy for Carla, who's gone and got her bag in the South. You know, in the East, we just don't really have that kind of money. No, Mount Gambier is particularly wealthy, I will say, as a club. I'm just guessing here, but that's great for Carla Pitman. I think a full-time professional now in basketball, WNBL in the summer, NBL1 South in the winter. So you got to be really happy for Carla to get that opportunity, but it's going to be a huge loss for the Bears. It's also looking like Maddie O'Hare might not be back with the North Bears, maybe retiring, maybe just taking a little more time to make a decision on this season. Hopefully we will see Maddie in the NBL1 this season, but if not, she will retire as one of the greatest Bears women's players of all time. A consistent leading scorer for that side, and of course started her junior career with the Bears and went on all the way to become a WNBL player with the Sydney Flames later on, and in the NBL1 East era has been one of the top 5 players consistently year in, year out in NBL1 East. So we'll see what happens with Maddie O'Hare, but that actually puts a lot of pressure back on the players we're talking about before, especially Issy Morgan. But Issy Morgan is turning heads in her debut WNBL season. Unfortunately, after appearing in 11 games, though, she has gone down with a foot injury, which I think has ended her season. Best of luck on the recovery, Issy. She is a resilient professional athlete, so I'm sure she will be back on the court very, very soon. But before that, had a semi-breakout performance recently, dropping 12 against Bendigo. From a player without any WNBL experience to look so confident on that stage is going to be really promising, especially for Bears fans. After returning last season to her junior club, Issy Morgan returned to the North Bears, her junior club, after 4 great years at Davidson in the US. Issy has shown she can be a star 5 kind of player with a deadly 3-point shot, speed and strength to get to the basket, and of course never takes a possession off defensively. Hopefully we'll see Issy Morgan round 1 come NBL1 East season. I'm not too sure about the extent of the injury, but she'll have to take a lot of the load with players like Carla Pitman moving on and potentially Maddie O'Hare retiring. Positionally though, a new signing could fill that Pitman-O'Hare void, and it is Jas Simmons. What a pickup for the Bears, a perfect fit really. Unfortunately, injuries held Simmons back in 2025 with the Central Coast Crusaders. Simmons has a stacked resume. She's represented Australia at the under-17s level, had 3 years at Oregon State University, and then returned back to Australia. Upon returning, she played for the Mildura Heat and the Ballarat Miners in NBL1 South, as well as AFL, believe it or not. She played country footy for the North Broken Hill and the Gol Hawks Football Club. Wow. So Simmons is out of Broken Hill, a 12 hours, 44-minute drive specifically from the Bear Cave. To give you a bit of perspective, Broken Hill is so far away that it is even an 8-hour drive to get to Dubbo Sports World, home of the Dubbo Rams. Now, quick side note, not paid for by the Dubbo Rams, but you got to check out their merch store for all the hottest Dubbo Rams drip. Go check it out now. I mean, look at this hoodie. Come on. Perfect. But back to Simmons, she also played AFLW on the professional level for the Adelaide Crows and Port Adelaide. She also played in NBL1 Central. She will be a perfect fit for the North Bears as a hard-working defender, unselfish passer, good rebounder, a great cutter, and can push the pace on the fast break. So a kind of unselfish, jack-of-all-trades, hard-working player. I think that's exactly the type of player who thrives in the Renee Garlepp system. So let's take a look now at the depth chart for the North Bears from the signings we know so far. Point guard, locked and loaded, Caitlyn Martin. Only suited up in 2 games for the Sydney Flames so far this season, but I think her second season in that Flames program will come back bigger and better than ever for the North Bears. A real floor general, a star in the making. Huge raps on Caitlyn Martin. That shooting guard position, we got Issy Morgan. And if Izzy is having injury troubles to start the season, would not be shocked to see Holly Wills step in that starting lineup. Holly Wills, of course, announced for another season with the North Bears. You can't ask for a better wing player or a better guard, really, than Holly Wills. Can ball handle, shoot, and defend like crazy. A real Renee Garlepp kind of player. At the small forward, you got to think Simmons is going to get the starting spot. Not a whole lot of depth in that position, but you got to think there's a bit more news coming out of the Bears. Maybe some youth players will come in and fill that bench spot. Starting power forward, you got to think it's going to be Emma Donnelly. Donnelly returned from college last season and played quite well. Actually put on some height, and her skill set had just gone to that next level after returning from college. But I got a feeling Emma Donnelly's in for a huge season with the North Bears. Got to think she's secured that starting spot. Of course, pending other news coming out. And of course, her sister Beck Donnelly, after starring in their youth league side, has got the call up to the NBL1 East side. So keep an eye on Beck Donnelly, a quick trigger shooter, can fill it up really fast. I think we'll have some huge games off the bench for North this season, and maybe even work away in the starting lineup. Who knows? Starting centre is Peggy Shell, of course, the future Flames product. Peggy is just getting better and better as the season goes along. Had her first opportunity to really be a starter last season with the North Bears, and I think really embraced the opportunity. I think an underrated part of Peggy Shell's game is her defense. I think being a more mobile big really helps her switch out on guards, and of course, can be very physical in the paint with bigs as well. So Peggy Shell, locked and loaded. Of course, that's the perfect center you want for this kind of team. And young gun as well, Olivia Hastings, who had a few runs in NBL1 last season, will probably be the backup there. She is a young talent going off to college next season. So congratulations to Lulu, I think they call her, down at the Bear Cave. Probably be a good backup for Peggy Shell. Of course, there is a few spots still missing in this roster, as I said. Ruby Perkins, though, has left Norths for Hornsby, so it leaves a huge void at the kind of backup point guard position. But you'd expect Norths to fill that with some youth league talent or kind of reliable players that you've seen over the years. A player like Lauren Walker, and be shocked to see come back, and could definitely fill that role as a starting point guard or backup point guard for Caitlyn Martin. Anyway, who knows? Renee always has a few tricks up her sleeves, and who would not want to play at the Bear Cave? So the depth and talent is looking good so far for the women's team and the Bear squad. Moving over, let's just get straight into the men's lineup. Let's have a look at their depth charts so far. So these are all confirmed signings. As I said, North did go pretty ham with their announcements this season. So at the point guard, got to think Maddie Waisha will get the starting spot. Defensive maestro, turned out to be quite a good distributor last season as well. I think at Comets they kind of relied on him to be a little more of a scorer, but I think really came into his own as an out-and-out point guard for the Bears, fit really well into Tom Garlepp's system. And couldn't have higher raps on Matty Waisha as well. Can space the floor when needed, but of course he is a hard-nosed defender and great playmaker as well. They've got such good depth at that point guard position.
And just some late news before we go any further, that actually came out just after I'd finished editing this video. Pietro Badalassi has re-signed for the 2026 season. So that's why he's missing from those lineups and depth charts. It's not that we've forgotten him, because we are big Pietro Badalassi fans. Really a jack of all trade and can fill in multiple positions for the Bears. Can ball handle, can play make. But I think this year, considering the depth for North at the guard position, you got to think he's going to be backing up Iggy Mitchell in that three-man spot. As the years have gone on, Pietro has become a super reliable shooter to go along with his kind of herky-jerky package of layup moves. Always kind of has defenders in 6s and 7s with his ball handling and his ability to get to the ring as well. He spent 2 years at the University of St. Francis in NCAA. Before that, he was at Central Maine Community College. So a bit of college experience, but I remember Pietro from his years at the Canberra Gunners, was part of their Waratah and then NBL1 program from 2019 to 2023, which included the championship in that inaugural NBL1 season in 2023. The last 2 seasons with the North Bears, first season super promising. I think got a lot more minutes, and the minutes I think honestly Pietro Badalassi deserves. When he was called upon, he could actually fill it up, had multiple 15 to 20 point games. I think due to maybe fit things, maybe style-wise in 2025, maybe had to take a backseat, more of a leadership role or extra coach off the bench, but still showed some great glimpses of being a reliable player. So Pietro Badalassi, slot him in wherever. He's a team-first kind of guy, and great to see him back with the Bears for 2026.
They have such good depth at that point guard and shooting guard position, or the guards generally. Mikey Young, athletic, quick, great shooter. He's back again. We all know what Mikey can do, as well as Weinstein, an underrated player who came in and had some big moments for the Bears last season as a great, unstoppable almost corner shooter, and of course a hard-nosed defender. That's that Tom Garlepp style player. I mean, the Garlepps love their defense, but you got to have those players who are high-energy defenders on ball, off ball. That's the style of player that I think they look for at the North Bears, and Weinstein definitely fits that mold. Moving on to the two-guard position, this is a player we'll talk about a little later, but Hunter Madden is back at the Bear Cave after a huge stint playing college. I think he played 5 years over there. We'll talk about him a little later, though, as one of the big signings returning to the Bear Cave. Robbie Moore's back for another season, one of our favourites on this channel and on the commentary dress. Robbie's back, and he'll probably come off the bench next season, but I think he will be a kind of sixth-man role. Robbie, I think, will be a spark plug and can definitely step in that starting lineup for sure. Small forward position, Iggy Mitchell is back. It's great to see Iggy back on the court last season. Had some great games. He could kind of drop 15 to 20 points any night. I think as the season went on, we saw his first step kind of coming back, him building back confidence, got his eye back in. I think attacking off the dribble, he's so quick and so athletic that he can get to whatever spot he wants on the court. He's a great slasher off the ball as well. I think Iggy Mitchell could really step things up this season, was way back in his groove, and I think has been putting in the work in the offseason, so would not be surprised to see Iggy Mitchell go to the next level. And the front court of depth, let's move into it now. At power forward, we had the announcement of Lockie Boffinger back for another season. Came in midway through last season and just dominated. Boff was just unstoppable. Seriously, this guy is athletic. I know we say that about a lot of players here, but Boff was just so lethal going towards the rim. Also showed ability to step out from the three-point line, which made him just an absolutely unstoppable triple threat. Was their second scorer for a lot of games next to Hunter Goodrick. Was used as a sixth man. I think coming in mid-season, Tom kind of didn't want to disrupt the starting five's chemistry so much, but having Lockie come off the bench was lethal. Got a feeling he'll be starting this year, though. A perfect backup, and also would not be surprised to see him starting. Depends what combinations they want to go for. Lewis Holy, the chairman of the boards, is back for another season as well. We all know what Lewis Holly can do. He's one of the hardest working, aggressive players in this league. A real enforcer, and gives Norths that identity, that tough identity that they were looking for previously. Of course, Lewis Holly, another Norths junior. We've got a lot of Norths juniors in this lineup. At centre, and a player we will be talking about, Hunter Goodrick. Wow, what a return to Australia. Came into NBL1 East last season after a stint in college and just dominated from the get-go for the North Bears. Hunter Goodrick will probably be your starting centre. We'll talk about him a little later. And Ben Gill, one of the underrated bigs of the league, a huge presence, has also been announced as a re-signing. But back to Hunter Goodrick. Bringing Hunter Goodrick back would have been priority number one for the Bears this off-season. After having a star 5 season where he averaged 17 points and 11 rebounds, while also leading the Bears back to the finals. Hunter managed to parlay all this into an NBL contract with the Sydney Kings. He's looked right at home in the pros. I mean, let's be honest, he came in as an injury replacement. People didn't really expect a whole lot, maybe just a bench warmer at the end, but he's already appeared in about 15 games as of the recording of this video. And we all know what he can do, bringing that bruising play, that basket-to-basket big, and just does not take a possession off. Never misses a rebound, is an instant bucket when you throw it into the post. And wow, Hunter Goodrick is such a force. I would like to see him used at the centre position a little more. Again, you could probably put Holly at the 5, Goodrick at the 4, or if you want the kind of faster lineup, I think you go Boff at the 4, Goodrick at the 5. There's a lot of good options there. But either way, Hunter Goodrick will definitely be the leader of this team. I know it's maybe a hot take to start off with, but you got to say he'll probably be star 5 again and a top 5 MVP candidate. Not to put too much pressure on him, but after coming off an NBL season, he'll be better than he was last season, if you can imagine that. So Hunter Goodrick is definitely one of the stars of the East competition, and we can't wait to see him back. A player who can have a similar trajectory to Hunter Goodrick this season is Hunter Jack Madden. A lot of Hunters going on. Another player returning to his junior club after a stint in college, and I got to say that's been one of the best things I think Tom Garlepp's done since taking the reins of the North Bears, is looking at that elite North Bears junior talent who's maybe gone and played college or played at other clubs and bringing them back to the Bear Cave, because there's a lot of buy-in there. And when you look up and down the men's roster for the North Bears, it's pretty much all North juniors. Madden went to high school just down the road at Shaw. At that time, he represented Australia at the Under-17s World Cup and also played for Australia at the Under-19s level as well as New South Wales. He also spent time as a development player for the Sydney Kings in 2020. Before he went over to college, he actually did play 8 games for Norths in the Waratah League back in 2018-2019. He averaged 12 points as a young gun back then. Also again in 2020, of course it was a shortened season, played 2 games, averaged 12 points. So we've already seen him at the top flight of New South Wales basketball. But after that, he did go off to college and spent his first year at Idaho before transferring off to Abilene Christian University. Put up some solid numbers, especially from the 3-point line in college. Shot almost 40% from the 3-point line in the 2023-2024 season. And that's the kind of play you're going to get from Hunter Madden. I mean, that 3-point shot is pretty much automatic. He's an extremely quick guard and moves off the ball really well, but can also handle the ball. You got to think, though, for the North Bears, he'll be kind of playing that 2-guard position, which means kind of interesting to see if they will bring Austin Patterson back. You got to think probably not. But either way, with Hunter Madden, they have an instant bucket and another weapon for the North Bears. You got Boff and Hunter Goodrick in the paint, and now you have Madden on the perimeter to go along with all the hard-nosed team first players that they have already. North Bears are shaping up really well, and again, they're doing it all from junior talent. So welcome back home, Hunter Jack Madden.
Thank you for joining me today for this episode. If you did like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to Waratah and VCR, or send us a message or a comment on Instagram so you can give us a bit of feedback, what you like, what you don't like about these episodes, so we can keep growing the New South Wales basketball community. Until next time, I've been James. We'll see you next time.